Hey, what's up everybody? It's Lids, and we're back for some more Gwent, and today we're playing the new Power Shift seasonal event, which is an alternate game mode in which every unit in our starting deck gets its power set to its provision cost. That means that low power, high provision cost cards are way more powerful than usual, and today we are using some new cards that got huge buffs from this event, so let's go give it a look. So today we'll be playing a Skellige Blaze of Glory Renfri Lippy deck. And that is amazing in this event, not only because Renfri is an incredibly powerful card that we'll talk about a lot later on, but also because it allows us to replay all of our big cards, which in this event, our high provision cost cards are also high base power cards, which means tons and tons of additional value. So let's start with Renfri though. As Renfri, as long as we have 25 or more units in our starting deck, that means that she will give us the ability to replace our starting leader ability with a new one. So that means we use our starting leader ability early, then we replace it with something here from Renfri's list, and our ideal option would be this Curse of Sloth, play a bronze unit from our hand, then draw a unit of our choice. The reason for that is because with Lippy, which we'll talk about in just a second, we can replay many of our gold cards. So by using Curse of Sloth, we can get rid of one of our bronzes, or at least play one of our bronzes and get another gold card, so we have more gold cards to recycle with Lippy, which means lots more value from Lippy. So you'll have a choice of your curse, your active ability, which hopefully is going to be that Curse of Sloth there. Alternatively, you could go for the curse that boosts a card based on its base power, Curse of Gluttony, because since cards will have very high base power, like 13 in the case of Renfri, that is a huge point slam. Then again, people are generally running a lot of removal in this event, so it does mean that Renfri is very likely to get removed. Maybe if you play Renfri in round 3 when they've already played most of their Geralts, that might be safe, but just consider that is a risk if you are going to go that route. Then on the passive side of things, I think the best option is generally going to be if you play Renfri early to get the cooldown 7, because if you can do that with the Curse of Sloth, that means you can get even more gold cards guaranteed, either in round 1, or if you're patient enough and you have not replaced this leader ability with another Renfri, then maybe you can use this again in round 2 or 3 once again. And the reason why we can potentially play those cards again is because of Lippy. So basically, our strategy here is round 1, play all of our golds, or at least as many of our golds as we can reasonably use. Obviously, some of them are somewhat situational. We'll talk about that more in a second. But that means that you play them all in round 1. Then in round 2, you play Lippy in the range row, and he will flip your graveyard with your deck. So that means all the good cards that you played in round 1, you can play them again when you draw into them going into round 3, which is crazy valuable, especially in this event. So that is our big plan there. And outside of that, we have cards like Triss Meteor Shower, which again, because all of our units have their power set to their provision cost, normally she'd be 3 power, but now she's at 12, and all those other big cards that we've already looked at, and the ones we'll look at in just a minute, are also way stronger than usual. So that means that going for the boost is extremely valuable, or if your opponent happens to have a lot of big high base power cards in the same row, then you could opt for the damage instead. So that makes Triss a very potent card for us. Geralt of Rivia for outright removal, also a 10-point body. Geralt Igni, similar story, 10-point body and a little more situational. Hopefully you can get a lot of big cards destroyed with him. And then we have Triss Butterflies, which is our way of getting Lippy first priority into our hand. And if we already have him, then Renfri. And outside of that, if we're on blue coin, then of course we can use our Curse Scroll to make sure that we get one of them as well. If we already have both of them, then we're just trying to maximize our gold cards, so we play as many of those as possible in round 1. And again, that means we can recycle them with Lippy in round 2, so we can replay some of them in round 3 when we draw back into them. Outside of that, we have Eyck for additional tall removal. We have Morkvarg, which we want to keep in deck. This is the card that we want to use for our starting leader ability, our Blaze of Glory, because he'll get boosted up, or his starting power will be 7 in this event, so he's 7 damage, and then when he gets moved into our graveyard, gets summoned onto the board, so that means a 7-point body as well. So just need to, of course, make sure that your opponent has something on the board to target with that ability, but then once you've done that, that's when you start breaking out the Renfri, or at least have the option of doing so. Then we also have the Wolf School Trio, Eskel, Vesemir, and Lambert, and so these guys only work once you get down to Adrenaline 4. You want to try to have round 1 go long enough that you can use this, because that way you are getting all of them onto the board in round 1. Otherwise, what happens is, say you still have 2 out of the 3 hanging out in your deck and you have 1 in your hand because round 1 doesn't go long enough to play them, then that means if you still play Lippy round 2, you're going to move the other 2 Wolf School Witchers that were in your deck into your graveyard, and suddenly the one that's still hanging out in your hand is stranded by itself, and it's just a 7-point body. So it does put a little bit of pressure on you to try to have round 1 go long enough to get that value from getting all the Wolf School trio out. Sometimes it means you might go a little bit overkill in round 1, but that means that if you do use Lippy in round 2 and draw into one of the Wolf School trio going into round 3, then it still gives you a really nice point slam rather than just having a 7-point unit in round 3, which is obviously not as good. Other than that, Knickers as well as Roach gives us some thinning and also just point slams because the base power on both of them make them significant. Not to mention, when we use Lippy, that means we can get them back for some more value in round 2 or round 3, so that makes it actually quite easy for us to push in round 2 aggressively if we'd like, because Roach at the very least will immediately get some out when we use Lippy, and Knickers has a decent chance of coming out quickly as well. Then from there on out, we have the Longship, which is a decent bronze card to play, but everything other than that is a bronze that is situationally okay, but for the most part, we want to be avoiding playing our bronzes at pretty much whatever cost, because any bronze that we play in round 1 is a bronze that we risk accidentally drawing into in round 3 when we recycle it with Lippy. So we really want to avoid playing bronzes, and we can, of course, dump some of them using a combination of Curse Scroll and using Triss Butterflies. So that's the way that you ideally at least avoid playing them in round 1, because you want to try to draw into exclusively golds when you're going into round 3. You'll probably still have some bronzes that you held onto in your hand that you just opted not to play, but by the time you get to round 2 and round 3 post Lippy, then it's fine, you just play whichever one happens to fit the situation the best. So there's a look at the deck, and like I said, it is basically capable of playing Renfri twice, because we can play her once in round 1, and then using the recycling ability from Lippy, we can play her again in round 3, assuming we can draw into her, which we might be able to do either through our initial Triss Butterflies, or if we recycle that as well, that's another way to get Renfri back, and that just gives us the ability to have tons and tons of removal and point slams as well. So let's go see it in action. Alright, so going up against Nilfgaard here, and they'll go first. Okay, so we have Renfri in hand. That's great. We need to have Lippy in hand, though, to recycle all of our cards, and we can get Lippy using Triss Butterflies, so that's good. We only have one of the Wolf School trio. That's nice. We want to put Morkvarg back into our deck, because that's the target for our leader ability, and we want to do that before we play Renfri, because we'll replace our existing leader ability with whatever we get from her. Then we want to try to dump bronzes, if possible, ideally without getting Knickers in hand. And we could put Knickers back with Triss, yes. Or we could just hold on to Knickers for the time. Well, we really want to play Knickers in round 1. So that way we get Knickers in round 1 and through Lippy. Can recycle Knickers for round 3/2 as well. So yeah, that's probably going to have to be the Triss Butterflies target, which is unfortunate, because otherwise that would have been a way to swap out one of these bronzes for another gold. Come on, Knickers. Why you gotta be like that, Knickers? And we need to make sure... Where are you? Did we get you? And there he goes. Right off the bat. Okay, they're gonna... Bleed? Yeah, bleed. I was gonna say, the lock doesn't make a lot of sense here. But yeah, in that case, we want to be playing a lot of golds, because every card we play in round 1 is a card that is going to get recycled from Lippy, so that means we want to be very careful that we maximize our golds and don't flood our deck with less valuable bronzes when we do that recycling. So that might even mean that we're about to go Renfri here, because otherwise we don't have great options. It's too early for Igni, and this is why we didn't like the Knickers brick, because that meant we were not going to have as much flexibility with what we can do here. Let's see. Play bronze from hand, draw a unit of your choice. That is great, because that means we can make sure that we get more, let's play you. Make sure that we get more golds for this round. And we are going to have to get some damage to power you up, which might require that we play a bronze to do. But yeah, again, the more bronzes, or rather the more golds that we play in this round. I mean, if you destroy Renfri, it's unfortunate because she is obviously a big body, but at the same time, we will still get her back in a subsequent round, so it's not the end of the world. So yeah, now we can not only play Triss in this round, but play Triss potentially in round 3 as well, which is why that's such a huge deal, and getting this on cooldown means we can potentially do it again and get even more golds recycled through Lippy. It does technically mean we're also playing some bronzes to make that happen, but I think that's, you know, a chance that we'll just have to be willing to take. So this might even be the Triss turn here in this range row, and I imagine they will remove Renfri, but it is theoretically a big boost on her. The more you wait to play Triss, the better she is, of course, but that is still huge value. We couldn't play Lippy yet, and we couldn't play Igni yet, which is the reason why it was Triss time. Can't play Eskel yet either. So we could have gone with the bronze and, you know, potentially powered up this guy, but yeah, there's the second round of poison. Still nowhere near enough for them to catch us, though. Still nowhere near enough points for us to Igni them, which is unfortunate. Because as I said, any bronzes that we play in this round are bronzes that we are likely to see, or at least have a chance of seeing in round 3, which is not really a situation we want to put ourselves in. So, we could get some damage going with the Knife Juggler to start getting you powered up, or maybe even Whale Harpooner, move someone into this row, deal damage to you. So we have the setup for the Warcrier, and we have more cards to potentially help set up the Igni. Maybe that's the answer. I don't love it, because it means playing more bronzes. Okay, Vicavaro Novice, they are not playing anything big here in this round, for what it's worth. And they might think that that's good for them because we're overcommitting, quote-unquote, in round 1, but that's where Lippy comes in. We can use all the cards that we played in round 1, potentially get them again. So, problem is that, once again, this is a awkward timing for us. We'd like for this round to go long enough that we can get all the Wolf School trio out as well. Otherwise, if we were to use Lippy and we only have Eskel in our hand, we're going to send the other Wolf School trio members into the graveyard, and Eskel's going to be by himself, so he's going to be much weaker. So that's not really what we want to see. We'd like for this round to go a little bit longer for that reason. It does, of course, mean playing more bronzes, which it's a trade-off. It is a trade-off. Then you have to weigh. Okay, this is ideal, though. This is perfect. Okay, well, okay. Roach in that row does make the Igni now significantly less effective. Just looking forward to a 21-point Igni. 21-point removal Igni. Now it's just a 9-point removal Igni. Oh, it would have been so good if we got Roach's, or rather Knickers as well, for 28 points removal Igni. But we can use our Wolf School trio, and in fact, we may opt to go that route instead here. Because again, like, we have the lead, they've not caught us on 4 cards, so usually that would mean this is the time where you pass and punish them for not catching us, and they have to go a card down if they want to do so. Or 2 cards down if they want to do so. Give us permanent card advantage? Yes. So it's a... Again, you're weighing that. I mean, that's really nice. On the other hand, we can make sure that we get Wolf School Trio, or at least have the option of getting Wolf School Trio again, rather than bricking them. So I think we will still do that. We technically should play that in this row, because now we are very igniable. Yeah, we walked into a huge Igni for them. That was definitely not the way to do that. And we can return the favor to a certain extent, but their Igni is going to be better than our Igni. They would have to do it this turn, otherwise Warcrier is going to boost it up to an 8, and that's no longer going to be all that great for them. No, it's Snowdrop. Okay, so I think, assuming this is not enough for them to catch us, this is where we'll draw the line. Well, leader ability as well does make Snowdrop fairly big. Is that going to be enough? No, I still don't think so, though. Oh, that was very nifty, though. That was very, very good on the leader ability. Wow, that was absolutely perfect. I guess, did they set that up with the Novice? They might have set that up with the Novice. Okay, so that wasn't just pure coincidence. That is the first time I've seen anyone ever use Morkvarg to get double Mage Assassin and Affin. That's a perfect Morkvarg. That is very impressive, and it is technically enough for them to catch us. Warcrier gets boosted by 1 at the end of our turn. That's still not enough. So, I mean, we can use Igni, because we're going to get Igni back, so it's not terrible. And in this case, once again, I would love to Igni this row. I mean, removing an 18-point snowdrop is not bad. So we'll settle for that. And now this is, yes, still going to go up to an 8, so now we are considerably less igniable. Well, now it's 28 points here, which is, you know, that compared to what they had the option of doing there. But we do well in the short round with Lippy, so if they do continue to push here, then it's still not a terrible thing. Now, they'll give us the win here, on even, and we probably will choose to push with Lippy in round 2, because we do at least want to play him, so we get the recycling, so we draw into our big cards going into round 3. And so that means this is our last chance to draw into any cards that we want to play in this match, so Geralt and Eyck, if we don't mulligan into them now, they're going to get discarded when we use Lippy. Let's see if we can get one of them here. And we get Geralt, so that's definitely nice. That's definitely nice, and we will lead off with Lippy here. That way we get all of these golds back into our deck. Now, we did play some bronzes, yes, which is a little unfortunate. But we also have our leader ability back as well. So that is really, really nice. So we go Lippy here. Now give us Roach. Use leader ability because we have the cooldown. So we can play... And you are the best option. And make sure that we draw... I think we go Triss Butterflies because, yes, Renfri is nice, but Triss Butterflies can guarantee that we get rid of a bronze and still get Renfri. And we might want to try to delay the Renfri a little bit because we still have the cooldown on our original Renfri ability, which, with some patience, we won't have time to get it again in round 2. But we might be able to get it heading into round 3. And at this point, since we've already done our deck recycling with Lippy, we are no longer as concerned about whether we play bronzes. So I think we can go with the Warcrier here. And this Warcrier will get boosted now, because they have a damaged infiltrator. Get Knickers out as well. Give us some additional thinning. And the tempo, which might be hard for them to match, Sienna. Well. That looks like a very good target for Geralt to deal with. So let us do just that, I think. Otherwise, this could be pretty huge if left unaddressed. And they'll just forfeit. So there you have it. The 2-0 push with the assistance of Lippy. Alright, so going up against Northern Realms here. And we'll go first. Okay, so we have some good cards in hand, but we do have at least one brick here. Definitely want to get rid of Roach. And we now have 2 Wolf School Witchers, so let's dump one of them. We can make some corrections using Triss Butterflies and with our Curse Scroll as well. We do not yet have Lippy, and that is definitely something we'd like to see, so let's dump perhaps you. Okay, Skald doesn't really help us all that much, so on our first turn here, I think we might look to set up or make sure that we have Lippy using Triss Butterflies, because we want to wait to use Renfri until we've used our starting leader ability, and we don't have anything to destroy with Eyck yet, of course, nor with Geralt, so let's go this route. And put back maybe... Is there anyone that we really needed to get rid of? We got rid of our other Wolf School Witcher, right? So, dump you, and get you. That'll also get out Roach. Okay, it's Rafford's Vengeance, which we could destroy with Geralt of Rivia. That's an option. Siege Master comes out as well. I'm gonna use Inspired Zeal, yeah. I'll play that immediately. Now, we could either go with Geralt to immediately destroy you, or we could go with Eyck if we're willing to be a little more patient, and we might want to go that route, to tell you the truth. So what if we do that? Okay, Seltkirk. Oh, they're going to give Zeal to him to take out Eyck, I suppose. And this would have also been a decent target for our removal. I mean, part of me is wondering if we can use Whale Harpooner to set up the double destruction with an Igni. Then again, we don't currently have Igni, but we could get that with Cursed Scroll. So, at this point, I think what we're looking at is probably a Geralt to remove you, and then maybe follow up with our leader ability to damage Seltkirk, or even Redanian Knight. It's not quite enough damage to remove you. You'll be on 1 power. You will still get the damage, which is... I mean, it might still be worth doing that. So let's do this to remove you. Then let's go and do this, because by using our leader ability, it gives us the option. It now gives us the option of playing Renfri on our next turn. Get Knickers out as well. Okay, another Redanian Knight here. And there's their Knickers. So I think we do want to play Renfri and play her relatively early, because if we can get the cooldown, then that is, of course, something we want to have happen as quickly as possible. See our options here. Stratagem, not a huge fan of that. Damage all enemies by 1 if they have their power changed. Damage by a little bit more than that. Damage by 7. Excess damage to adjacent units. That seems like that is a good idea here. If we can get the cooldown, that'd be great, but whenever you pass, boost lowest unit, end of turn, leader ability not used, boost lower powered ally. Okay, so we didn't get the cooldown. We might want to actually... And I was thinking we were going to use this quickly. In which case... this might be the best long-term solution. Let's use this to get... I think it's going to be... possibly Triss. Then we might want to use this on our next turn. So Triss, range row, can give us a bunch of points in all these guys. Could have potentially played Geralt there, but I was, I think at the time, a little concerned about a potential Igni play that they might have thrown at us. So yes, I think it's going to be this here. I mean, do we need to leader ability right now? Perhaps not. So when we play you, we get boosted for each adjacent odd powered unit, which we can certainly make happen. Or so I thought. Okay. Oh, well, I guess it triggers... It might check after the boost, in which case that was going to require a lot more mental math that I was not prepared to do. I was like, is that a bug? No, I don't think so. I think it just checked after the deployability triggered, and of course these did end up being even powered cards at that point. So now we'd like to get Lambert out here, because if we don't play him in this round, that means that he's going to get... we'll have him, but we're going to end up discarding the other 2 Wolf School Trio members when we play Lippy in round 2. And that's, that makes him pretty useless at that point. So, for that reason, we'd like to go that route. We definitely do not want to play him here. This would be setting them up for an amazing Igni. They still have a decent one if they do choose to go that route there, but... Sneak you guys down there. And oh, I also paid 0 attention that time to our leader ability, which we could have. I could have gotten 1 more point to boost on you. Okay, they'll pass. That gives us the round 1 win. But we are probably still looking to push at least a little bit here to drop a Lippy in round 2. And that means this is our last chance to fine-tune our hand here before we do our deck flip. So, do like the Longship picking up that, but Igni is the one key card that we'd like to avoid discarding at this point. So can we perhaps swap some people out to make that happen? No, unfortunately not. Unfortunately not. So as I said, we want to use Lippy here, because by using him in round 2, that gives us the chance to draw into our big golds that we currently have in our graveyard going into round 3, and we can get a little bit of immediate tempo, because when we use Lippy, we're going to immediately get Roach out, and then we might even get Knickers out as well. So it is difficult for them to catch us in just one turn. And still leader ability. There is Knickers as well. So yeah, it's 31 points in one turn. Yes, we were a card down already. But it's very unlikely they can do a 31-point slam here. Yes, they'll get Ronvid out when they use their Redanian Elite, and that is a bit of a point slam, but at this point, now that we've played Lippy, we are no longer as concerned about playing bronze cards. We've already done our deck flip, so it's not like by playing bronze cards here, we're going to make our round 3 weaker. At this point, it's mostly about tempo, and if that's their best tempo that they have, then this might be the best time for us to pass here, because they will definitely at least have to go down to 6, possibly actually go down to 5. Then again, leader ability here is kind of tempting. On their next turn, if they play something next to you. I'm not sure that they will. I think we'll still pass. Could make a case for pushing further, but I think we'll pass. Okay, it's Henselt. Whoa, that's a big commitment, and I think they had to do it for tempo. Yeah, that's huge. Huge that they had to break those out. Wow. Okay. So yeah, the bleed definitely forced them into doing some stuff they did not want to do. And now this is the strength of doing the deck flip with Lippy, is we can get Renfri back in this round. Geralt, Eskel, we want to make sure we don't run to additional Wolf School Witchers, but we have at least one mulligan that we can use safely here. So I think maybe... It's going to be a little hard to get the Bloodthirst on Northern Realms. They do have some damaging engines that are not necessarily going to get boosted. Hold on, though. I don't think they thought they could beat us here. They realized they had to play their best cards in round 2, so they forfeit. Alright, so going up against monsters here, and they'll go first. Okay, so let's see. We have not a lot of great cards here, which is actually not a bad thing, oddly enough, because we can use Lippy to discard a lot of the things that we have here. So let's get rid of Roach. We definitely want to have that in our deck. Now, Geralt, obviously, we're going to want to play. Triss we can use to get Renfri, which is definitely nice. We have one of the Wolf School Trio. That's also nice. But a lot of 4 provision cost bronzes. So what we might do is we might make round 1 short. Play our best cards that we have here. And then Lippy. That's probably what we'll go for. I mean, we should probably still try to swap out some of our 4s here into something bigger, or not. Okay, Kikimor Warrior. I mean, that's not that much of a big deal in this event. So, let's see. I mean, you are at 9, and naturally they're going to try to consume the Arachas Swarm drones to get even more copies of you, but I still don't think that's a huge deal. Technically could use Geralt to destroy you, and if we are trying to play aggressively in this round, then that is an option, but I'm thinking we're probably going Triss. Putting one of our 4s back into our deck, which will probably be perhaps even the Skald. And then getting Renfri, because 13 power is pretty sweet. That'll get us Roach out as well. Okay, natural selection, not really a huge deal here. So we could get really aggressive and immediately drop Renfri, and in fact that is probably what we'll be looking to do here. And just see what we get from her. And then take it from there, because let's see. I mean, are we going to get down to... Where are you? Adrenaline 4 in this round? That's the question. I'm not sure that we are. We might need for this round to go a little bit shorter than that, because we'll have Renfri. And we'll have... I guess Geralt. So that's 8 cards, 7 cards. I mean, maybe we can sneak in a Whale Harpooner, because they might have a lot of cards in this row, but that's still going to be a little awkward here. I mean, you could maybe make a case for that reason for getting in a Brokvar Hunter early. Yeah, I guess we will. Because, yes, we can recycle our big cards using Lippy, but we still need to have some stuff to play in round 1. Okay, Rocket's Nest, so this is why the Whale Harpooner could become a decent play here. But we need them to play something in this row for that to happen. So that's still something we're going to wait to do. Now let's go Renfri. Okay, so let's see. What do we get to choose? Boost an ally unit by its base power. We've a 9 with Triss, so that's decent value. We might end up, or we could use it on Renfri herself and get a huge Renfri, but then again, they probably have tall removal, so that might not be the best idea. Play a bronze unit from your hand, then draw a unit of your choice. Drawing a unit of our choice is nice. We could get something big like an Igni or a Meteor Shower, although they don't have a lot of big cards. We could use it to boost ourselves. Want a base copy of an enemy unit? I don't think we want that. It's one of these two. I think we'll actually go Curse of Sloth. And then definitely taking the cooldown. In which case, play you and get you. We do have a damage unit, courtesy of this Brokvar Hunter. So we have set up the Warcrier. And we have, the reason why I wanted to make that happen as soon as possible, because we took the cooldown 7, which is really nice. As long as we use it early and have time to get it back. Okay, more Kikimor Warriors. This time we can use the Whale Harpooner to move you into this row and destroy you. So we probably will proceed to do that now. So again, just trying to make sure we have enough cards to play this round. So this drops us to 6, 5, 4... Actually, we might not even need to do that, to tell you the truth. And yes, it is an engine, but it also means the cards we play in this round are the cards we're going to end up playing in subsequent rounds using Lippy's recycling. So, if this gets us to 6, 5, and that means Adrenaline 4 on Eskel, and that's the perfect amount for us to just play our golds here. So I think we are looking to do that then. And we're going to deliberately try to row stack a bit here. Because that way, if we do, and we are probably going to play Triss, then it makes it that much more effective. Okay, Spontaneous Evolution. So yeah, the thing is they're playing an Arachas Swarm deck, which makes sense in Standard, but it's just not really a particularly effective deck in this event. So it's just too reliant on specials and spawning in cards, and spawning in cards does not increase their base power in this event. So I think it's going to be Triss here. Range row to boost ourselves because we have higher base power than they have. So it's just more total points. Like so, and now we have... Oh, Knickers coming out just in time. Very nice. Yeah, granted, we don't really need to play Eskel on our next turn. Then again, remember the cards we play in this round are the cards we're going to get extra copies of when we flip our deck with our graveyard using Lippy. So... do still want to go that route. Okay, Arachas Behemoth is a finisher of sorts. But still nowhere near big enough. So, I mean, at this point, again, we technically don't even need to play here because we have a big enough lead that we could probably pass. They have not caught us and they're on 4 cards. On the other hand, I would like to thin out our Wolf School trio to set up Lippy. And then we could potentially go for 2-0. Yeah, we'll do it. I don't think we have space in the range row. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We don't. So do that. Get them all out. Hit a card. And right now they do not have a damage unit. So let's make sure that changes. Oh, and I totally forgot about this. But we wanted to use our leader ability, our starting leader ability before we played Renfri. Yeah, because we missed out on our chance to get Morkvarg out from our deck, which would have been nice. Would have been extra damage. Obviously, we didn't really need it on this occasion, but obviously to optimize the Renfri plays, you want to make sure that you're doing that. So we'll win round 1 here. On even. Okay, so our plan now is going to be to Lippy, and that'll allow us to replay all of the good cards that we played in round 1. So... Geralt, get Roach, and Knickers back into our deck. Renfri, of course. The Triss is... We did get a Brokvar Hunter in there, which is not ideal, but, you know, we'll make do. We tried to minimize the number of bronzes that we were playing for that reason, so that's also why we're probably not going to play many of these. We could still swap some out, though. Like, say... You. I do like an Igni. Okay, so we could go for the push here. The 2-0 push, because, of course, we do have Lippy, and that allows us to get really aggressive here. Then again, that mostly sets us up for round 3. Less so for this round. It does mean that we'll immediately get Roach out. We may get Knickers out. So tempo-wise, it is difficult for them to catch us. This could give us card advantage going into round 3. If we drive past here, then we're getting card advantage in double SA in round 3 already. But we might be able to do better than that if we do go this route here. Oh, we get Morkvarg out as well. Okay, so yeah, good. We ideally, I mean, technically, like I said, it would have been overkill, but we would have liked to have done it in round 1, use our leader ability to get Morkvarg before we played Renfri, and they might realize just how effective this deck is, and they may have just rage quit. That they did, so we'll take the win. So there's a look at the new Skellige Renfri Lippy deck for the new Power Shift seasonal event. If you liked the video, make sure to hit the like and subscribe button, and leave a comment down below to let me know which other cards, archetypes, and factions you'd like us to experiment with next. Thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you next time.